Hey guys, Pierre here from Into Fly Fishing. In the vise I've got my basic version of a golden stonefly nymph. A very effective fly on both rivers and still waters. This fly tying tutorial is brought to you by Moonshine Fly Rod Company. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check the links in the video description below to see my full hands-on look at the new Vesper 3-weight 10-foot 6-inch Euro nymphing rod. It comes with an extra tip, so if you break one while you're out on the river, it won't ruin your fishing trip. The tools you need to tie the golden stonefly is a vise, a bobbin holder for your thread, a pair of scissors. It always helps to have a bodkin at hand, a pair of hackle pliers or a normal pair of pliers, a UV torch to cure the UV resin, a whip finishing tool and a piece of velcro to comb out the dubbing fibers. The first step is to slide the bead onto the hook. Here I'm using a 3.5mm gold tungsten bead and a Moosh 8443 in the size 12. This is just a generic long shank nymph hook. Once you have the bead in place, the next step is to wrap the thorax area of the nymph with some lead wire wraps. Here I'm using hen's lead wire in 0.5mm width. Now the number of wraps you'll add obviously depends on the size of the fly. So here we're just trying to build bulk in the thorax area, just like that. Once you've trimmed the excess, just sort of shove it right in there to keep the bead in place. For thread, I'm using Griffith Shear 14.0 in the color Cinnamon. I'm just going to attach that right behind the lead wire wraps. Once it's locked in place, just break or trim off the excess. I'm going to open the thread right here. Now with open turns, I'm going to secure the lead wire in place. And once that's done, I'm going to use my hackle pliers, placing it over the lead wire. Open the hackle plier to flatten the lead wire wraps. You can also use a pair of pliers here, which will obviously work much easier. Now you'll see how I just flattened it. It creates a nice wide and flat profile, typical to a stonefly. Now I'll just cover the thorax again with thread, just to secure that lead wire section. Now open your thread again by spinning the bobbin holder counterclockwise and run the thread all the way to the base of the tail. Before we tie the tail, we'll create a dubbing bubble using some Hemingways, hairline dubbing plus UV. I'm going to use this golden color or yellow color. Just pulled some from the dispenser and I'm creating a nice slender and tight dubbing noodle. Just going to wrap this noodle over itself to form a bump right there at the base of the tail. For the tail itself, I'll be using a yellow goose bite. I'm going to trim off 2 of these fibers. Take one of these fibers and measure it against the length of the fly. We want it the same length as the fly, like that. So after you've measured it, place that imaginary tying in point at the base of the tail where you left the thread and tie it in. Something like that. Now the second tail on the opposite side is a little easier because you don't have to measure it. All that you have to do is make sure that it's placed outward and measure that against the fiber that you've already tied in. Something like that. Once you're happy with their position, you can play around with their position, but once you're happy, just secure them in place while pinching them and come in with a pair of scissors and just trim off the excess. Now you cover up all that excess material and advance your thread all the way to behind the bead. For ribbing, I'll be using UTC Ultra Wire in gold in brassy size. Just break a length from the spool and place it on the side of the hook. Secure it in place, and then wrap the thread all the way to the back, to the base of the tail again. For the top part of the abdomen and the wing case, I'll be using some pheasant tail. Cut a good number of these fibers from the feather and tie them in with their tips, right on top of the hook shank. Cover up all the excess once again and then wrap the thread all the way to the base of the tail. Now we're going to use that Hemingway's yellow dubbing again. Wet your fingers and pull a little bit out of the dispenser. Form a long slender dubbing needle on your thread. Now just dub the fibers all the way forward to the base of the thorax. Bring over the pheasant tail fibers, secure them in place with your thread, but don't cut them off yet. Take the gold wire and form segments on the body, quite narrow space segments. This will both create flash in the abdomen area and also make the fly much more durable. Just helicopter this section off, that breaks off very easily. Now take some of that yellow dubbing again, just form a nice dubbing noodle on the thread, pull back on the pheasant tail, start building the thorax on the fly. Once you've reached halfway on the thorax, pull over the pheasant tail again, and repeat the process. In this case, you dub all the way to the back of the bead. And once you're there, you just pull over the pheasant tail fibers and secure it in place with the thread. Pull them back and trim off with a sharp pair of scissors. Now you can grab your whip finishing tool and just do a 3 or a 4 turn whip finish. Cut off the thread. That's basically all the tying done. For the UV resin, I'm using Solaris thin and hard. I'm just going to apply some on top of the wing case of the thorax. This will make it once again much more durable, but it also gives the fly the correct profile. Just turn the fly around so that the UV resin creates a drop on top of the wing case. Come in with your UV torch and shine it right on top of that UV resin. This will cure it in an instant. The next step is to comb out the fibers of the thorax with a piece of Velcro. This will imitate the legs of a stonefly nymph and also bulks up the thorax area. Just makes it so buggy. If the legs are a little bit excessive, you're welcome to come in with a pair of scissors and just trim them off. I hope that you found this tying tutorial of my golden stonefly nymph helpful, and if you did, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications, and we can let you know as soon as we release any future tying tutorials. Until next time, cheers!